Yeah, Patrick, welcome back. How are ya?
Oh, I'm doing well, and how are you?
Yeah, good. We've had some cold weather the last week.
Yes, but that's what happens.
It's been cold. Like, I tried to do my washing last week in the cold weather and it wouldn't dry.
Yes, that is a major problem with the weather.
You know, it is like, do you think it's getting colder every year?
No. In fact, last couple of winters they've been variable. What happens, of course, is we get older and we feel the cold more. That's my theory. Or another one, a couple of weeks ago, Graham Creed, who was the ABC weatherman,
Yeah.
said, for the 232nd year, people in Sydney were surprised by it being cold in the winter.
Well,
It's true. The thing is, we have a nice warm, and then all of a sudden it gets cold.
I know. Katoomba's always cold. I think it's getting like -1 up there.
Oh, well, I mean, it's got a bit of a hill below it. It doesn't make a difference.
Nah, I wish it would snow like it does in Canada and Ottawa.
I don't really. I mean, I've been in places where it snowed.
Yeah.
And it's not very nice, really.
Yeah.
It's all very pretty
Hmm.
when you're out in the countryside, but in the city areas, the urban areas, all it becomes is muddy slush.
Yeah. Oh, you serious?
Yeah, serious.
But see, when I went to Canada as a kid, did snowboarding in Calgary. That was fun.
Yeah, well, that's because you're in a place that was set up to enjoy the snow.
But it was so cold outside, like at night. You know, even going to the Radiant Hot Springs, you just wanted to sit in the Radiant Hot Springs.
Well, that's it, yes. I mean, as I said, that's it. So really, that is it. So snow is all very nice when you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But to live with the cold, heavy cold like this, because to have really good snow, it's going to be really bloody cold.
Mm.
And we don't get... Look at us on a map, and you'll find we're not close to the equator in Canada.
Yeah.
We just get hotter.
Weird, eh?
Yeah, not just weird, just have to be where we are in the globe.
But see, Canada in their summer, they don't get the hot days like we do.
Well, again, they are further away from the equator.
They get like maybe 26. That's like a warm winter's day.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's pure geography.
Mm.
Pure geography. I mean, don't forget, as I'm sure, Sydney is actually subtropical.
Yeah.
I mean, the tropics passes through Australia.
Yeah.
And the tropics in America passes through somewhere southern America, southern United States.
Yeah.
You know, so the south of the United States. So most of America is a lot further away from the pole than we are.
Mm. Like
Canada is a hell of a lot further away from the pole than we are.
Well, you look at Texas. They had a lot of snow in Texas, I think, this year. And
another thing is the shape of the country.
Los Angeles had a pretty cold winter.
Yeah, well, it's all to the man. Los Angeles is officially Southern California.
Yeah.
Because Canada is a long, skinny state. California is a long, skinny state.
Mm.
But it's a lot of it. There are all sorts of factors. I mean, there is a factor how far you are from the equator, how close you are to the poles.
Mm.
And the other thing is the shape of the country behind you. Don't forget America is this great, big, huge, almost flat expanse.
Yeah.
Across the middle of America. And that's a great place for lots of cold wind to blow.
Well, yeah, look, I love Canada.
Yeah.
Canada's a beautiful
it's one
place.
I haven't been to, so you've got to be there.
That's it. I'm fine. Yeah, Canada's beautiful.
Okay, that's interesting, that's all.
Nah, yeah, so... Yeah, she's giving me some chips.
Yeah. But are they Canadian? Do they have cheese on them?
No, they got salt.
Well, they're not Canadian, and nothing's on Canada.
That's good. Anyway, But the winter's always colder in Canada.
Well, that's where it is. I mean, no, seriously, I mean, if you think about it, the winters are cold in Tasmania. The winters are even colder in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's partly because it's a small island. Well, Canada is that kind of latitude. But Canada is a long, long way north.
You see, the cold weather, Australia's an interesting place, but it doesn't get so snowy that the pond's going to freeze up that you can play ice hockey on them.
Yes, that's, again, just pure... we just don't get that cold. Although, that's not true. I have had winter stay in Goulburn where it hasn't thawed. Where the ground temperature remained below freezing for a couple of days.
God.
Yeah. That's Goulburn. That's not the coldest place in Australia by a long shot. So there could be places in Australia where... Say, if you got into the hill, the mountain and the Alps behind in Victoria,
yeah,
quite possibly some of those would remain freezing through the day.
Well, Mount Kosciuszko still gets snow in the middle of summer.
Yeah, exactly, same thing. That's height. Well, actually, you can get snow in the middle of summer almost anywhere south of here. And I've seen snow again. I've seen snow in the middle of summer in Australia before. That's a lot, and. Again, so it's just where we live, and it's nothing unusual about that. Just to make us lucky, it makes it a pleasant place to live.
But see, you got the Northern Territory, it's like summer all year round.
Yeah, same reason, because it is purely tropical. So the sun stays pretty close.
Wow.
You think about it, and the sun goes north in summer, in winter. It shines at a steeper and steeper angle, so it has to work harder and harder to light the ground. Yeah. And if you're a long way south, then in winter, then when the sun's a long way north, then it just doesn't get there. Don't forget there are parts of the world where the sun doesn't make it at all in winter.
Well, some parts of Europe, apparently it's can be dark all 24 hours a day. Is that true?
Well, that's it. Once you get inside the Arctic Circle, once you cross the Arctic Circle, then you'll get at least 1 day a year when the sun doesn't rise. That's the definition of the Arctic Circle.
God.
And as you go further north, you get more and more days. And as you get closer to the poles, you can get 2 or 3 months without the sun.
Jesus Christ, how do you live with that?
Good lives. No, seriously, good life. There are places up in the north of Norway and north of Finland where it's almost as bad as that, where the days are, where you might be lucky to get an hour of sunlight on a day. I was in Glasgow a few years back. Yeah. And by 3:30, the street lights had to be on in winter. By 3:30, the street lights had to be on because you couldn't see otherwise. Glasgow is always cold and raining in the winter. Same reason. And the thing is, Glasgow is interesting. It is actually warmer than it should be, like all of England. Glasgow and England should actually be colder in winter than they really are. But they've got this great big body of hot water coming from the Gulf Stream coming from the central Atlantic. That actually warms England and Scotland up. But what makes it raining? Yeah. Because you've got this warm air carrying lots and lots of moisture. That's why Ireland is so green. Well, see, in Finland, they have the midnight sun. But that's the exact reverse. The point is, those places where the sun doesn't go down in winter, doesn't come up in winter, those same places, the sun doesn't go down in summer. God. But it doesn't get very high in the sky still. So it still doesn't get very hot. But in the middle of summer in places like Rovaniemi, which is where I'm doing it, the sun, in the middle of summer, there is those several days around the solstice where the sun skims along the horizon. But it doesn't rise more than about 30 degrees above the horizon. So, in fact, the sun is still no higher in the sky than it is in the middle of winter in Australia. That's the problem, you see. So, it's still, as far as they're concerned, they're getting as much light in the middle of summer as we do in the middle of winter. That's why it's cold.
Yeah, look, there's places in Australia like the Outback, like Udinata, was that South Australia, hit like 50 degrees.
Yeah. Same thing, the same kind of reasoning. If you've got a great big body of land and not much moisture and not much shelter from the sun, the sun's going to heat you up.
Now, the Northern Territory, in the wet season, it feels like it's 50, but it could be like 28 degrees. And
that's the other thing, the humidity. If it's really humid, then you can't sweat.
Yeah.
If you can't sweat, then you feel hot. So it could be relatively cool. And equally, when you get there in the right side of the season, I was there in August many years ago now. Beautiful days, but because of the extremely clear sky, no clouds, no pollution, it got quickly cold at night.
Yeah, in the dry season, I've heard about that.
Yeah, so when the sun goes down, the heat just radiates off and there's nothing to hold the heat. So, bang, it's cold again. So you've got days where you wear shirt sleeves and night times where you go, when you put on your heavy back, you double thick the sleeping bag to keep yourself warm.
But see, is it like cold, or is it like cold for people who live in the Northern Territory? Because
it is genuinely cold. It is genuinely almost frosty.
God. Wow.
Oh yes. It's these places, because they're in the middle of nowhere. There's not much vegetation. So there's not much to hold the heat. The air is very clear and clean. It's very dry. Because you're a long way from the sea, so there's no water to pump in the air. So with all of these things, it's the inverse of the greenhouse, in fact. The air, it heats up, the radiation heat comes in, bing, bing, makes it all nice and warm. But as soon as the radiant heat stops hitting you, it radiates off again. And bingo, it goes back out into space again. So it gets hot and then it gets cold. But that clear, clean, cold, there's something like getting on a good, clear, frosty morning here.
Yep.
It's not too bad. It is occasional. It's not all the time. But yeah, there are times, when it virtually frosts. On a day that after day, there's almost shirt sleeves. So yeah.
Exactly.
No. Weather is interesting.
No, it is, because Australia's pretty much got every climate you can have.
Well, as I said, except for the extreme cold.
Yeah.
We don't really have anything like Northern Europe in Australia. No climate, anything like Northern Europe.
Yep.
Even the south coast of New Zealand doesn't quite make it.
Yeah.
And the south coast of New Zealand can get very, very cold indeed.
What about the Blue Mountains?
No, nothing like it. I mean, we don't go 20 below in the Blue Mountains. We don't go 30 below in the Blue Mountains.
No. It is cold.
It is cold, but we don't go...
No.
Bear in mind that if a North American talks about -2, they're talking -2 Fahrenheit, which is about 15 or 20 below freezing.
Yeah. The Americans go by Fahrenheit anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when they talk about -2, and that's a regular reading in a lot of Central North America, they really do mean -2 Fahrenheit, and that's 35, 34. That's 20 below.
Oh, God, that's cold.
Sorry, 18 below. 16 to 18 below. So it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
It's genuinely cold. I mean, and nowhere in Australia do we get that kind of temperature. I don't think ever.
Now, cold weather can dehydrate you, Patrick.
It's not the cold weather that dehydrates you. It's the fact that in the cold weather, the air gets very, very dry as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a basic rule of physics that the colder the air, the less water it can hold. That's That's why you get fog and things on cold days.
Mm-hmm.
Same amount of water, when it gets cold, it says, I can't hold you anymore, it drops out.
Mm.
That's why when you put your washing out, you've got to bring it in before the sun goes down this time of year.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the sun goes down, the water starts dropping out of the sky, out of the air.
Mm.
So when the weather's really cold, the air is really, really, really dry.
Yep.
So when you breathe in the air, and when you breathe out the hot air, you breathe out a lot of your moisture.
Yep.
And so the cold weather is dehydrating you that way.
Now, it's cold weather can make you urinate more too.
Same thing, the kidneys say, we've got to get water out.
Oh,
that's the body protecting itself.
Now, if you watched Man vs. Wild, he'll tell you that even in the cold, and even in the mountains, you got to keep hydrated.
Oh yeah. Wherever you are in the world, whenever you are in the world, the second thing you need to keep alive is water.
Oh yeah.
The first thing is air. The second thing is water.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is then some kind of protection against the weather.
Yeah. Shelter.
Shelter or clothing.
Yeah.
If necessary. If it's really cold, you will die without even have plenty of water.
Yeah.
But wherever you are in the world, if you don't have water, you will die.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
Simple as that. But the trouble is when it's really cold, because you don't think you are losing moisture, because you associate drying out with exercise and being hot, your body doesn't give the same treatment, the same drink. You get the same signals to drink.
Yeah. So
you can forget to drink.
Well, that's the thing when you go travelling, even if I've gone to the Blue Mountains, I'll always take water with me.
It's funny about that. Over the last 20, 30 years now, people started... When I grew up at an age where you just went somewhere to want to drink, and when you found a bottle of water, or you did find a bottle of water,
yeah,
you went and bought one to drink, or you found a tap to drink out of. But there is a sense to which this is going beyond what is necessary.
Mm.
Most of the time, you really don't need to carry water with you.
Mm.
Because you can usually hydrate enough at the start of the day to last the day. And in fact, the serious survivors say, if you're in the desert, you've got a canteen full of water. The best place to carry that water is inside you rather than in the canteen.
Yeah.
Drink it all rather than carrying and drinking it later on. The best place to carry it is inside you.
Mm.
So you can actually stock up on water to get you through most days.
But the trouble with the heat too, you like...
as I said, to get through most days.
Yeah, as a fire...
On a really hot day, you exercise a bit more than you expected to.
Yeah.
Then you can start feeling unpleasantly dehydrated. And there have been a couple of occasions where I found myself genuinely dehydrated. And it's not nice.
Well, no, it's not. I had an experience this year on a fire call. It was like, a 40-degree day, and I started to get symptoms of heat stroke, so...
Oh, that's not dehydration. That's another matter again.
But I just had to sit in the truck and just sip on water and have an ice block.
Dehydration is important, but heat stroke is more than dehydration.
Gotcha.
Heat stroke is the body saying, you're too hot for all of my methods, so I'm going to start shutting down unnecessary parts. I'm going to start the core of my body.
No, just symptoms like wasn't sweating as much.
Exactly, yeah. The body is shutting down.
Sort of started having a bit of a headache around the eye, so...
Yep, that's it.
So I just went off and hydrated and I was fine, but...
but you also cooled down. That's more important.
Yeah.
That's one case we brought on the outside, is that I put this water on the inside.
Yeah.
Now, the old wet towel around the back of the neck and things.
You see, Bear Grylls would tell you, if you're on the verge of heat stroke, don't chug water for some reason.
Same reason, same thing. If you're on the verge of heat stroke, the best place for water is outside, not inside.
Yeah.
You've got to cool yourself down.
Mm.
You don't have to chug water, but putting water on the inside won't cool you down.
Mm-hmm.
It might replace the water you've lost through dehydration.
Yeah.
But it won't cool you down. The treatment for heat stroke is cool the person down. Don't give them water. If you're in a situation that traditionally if it's at first aid or it's going to be a child or something, you put a sheet over them and you flood the sheet with water.
Mm.
In other words, or if you're that, you get a towel or something, you drench it with water and you hold and you put that on your back of your neck and things. The aim is to cool yourself down. You pour water over your shirt.
Mm.
Not down your gut, not down your throat. You pour water over yourself.
Mm.
You've got to cool down. Exactly.
You see, when you're taking medications, they can dehydrate you quicker too.
Oh, yeah. Dehydration is another story, yeah. But as I said, they are related but different.
Mm. You know, but it goes to show that, yes, you got to keep hydrating and stay off soft drinks too.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, because they find all they do is trigger the old kidney. The kidney says too much sugar and starts pumping it back out again.
Well, what about Gatorade and Powerade?
Ditto.
They got
the whole point about Gatorade and Powerade is they're designed to replace energy.
Yeah.
Which means if you are exercise and stop, basically they're replacing your energy in your salt.
Yeah.
Now, if you are exercising very hard and you are sweating hard, then you will be pumping salt out of your body.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, you need salt.
Yes.
And in fact, the trouble is you have too much salt, it has the reverse effect. You have too much salt.
Mm.
You maintain the balance.
Well,
so Gatorade and things like that. Gatorade is the original.
Mm.
All of those things were designed to replace both the energy, because you've been exercising, so they're calorie rich, and the salt.
Now, with these sport drinks, they got sugar in them too, Patrick.
That's what I'm saying. The energy. That's what I'm saying. They got calories.
Now, I've actually heard it's no good to have the sugar-free stuff like Diet Coke, Powerade Zero.
Well, depends what you're having it for.
Yeah.
This is the thing. If you are exercising and you are burning off energy, then you need to replace the energy that you're burning off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the body starts going into your ketosis and starts burning up the rest of the body, burning up the fat. If that fat starts burning up muscle.
Shit.
Oh, yes. This is what people have to start to kill themselves.
Mm.
So if you are these drinks are designed for people in extreme athletic situations.
Mm-hmm.
But Gatorade was designed for an American football team.
Now, is it true that you can overdose on water as well?
You can cause yourself to 40 years.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because again, your body system is designed to be in balance. And you've got a stomach that holds so much water.
Yep.
And you can process so much water.
Yep.
You've got a blood system that is water. And a lot of us is made up of water. 40 to 60% of us is water. But if you get too much water in the system, again what happens is all the things that are in the bloodstream start getting diluted.
Mm.
And they stop working as efficiently.
Yeah.
It can't carry as much oxygen. It can't carry as much food to the thing. So you start getting poisoned again. Poison toxicity, yeah.
Well, isn't that a problem with a lot of the long-distance runners?
Long-distance runners have... those people who go in for ultra-long-distance running, I presume, particularly long-distance runners, have this constant balancing act of maintaining their energy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and maintain their hydration.
Yeah.
Which means they have to be very, very, very aware of their physiology, of how they're working.
Yeah.
Or have very competent people looking after them. We're just coming into, we're actually in the middle of the European bike tour, and they are the real long-distance athletes. That's one of the week-long bike races. Those people are on the bikes, pedaling at flat out, hard work for 4 hours a day.
Mm.
And some of the cases there, when they're going to the mountain, they have the thing that a bloke will start eating at the bottom of the mountain, carrying things like bananas and energy gels, and effectively eat halfway up the mountain.
Yeah.
Because they're working so hard that they're burning off the food almost as fast as they can put it in.
Yeah.
Yep, almost as fast as they're burning it off.
Now, have you ever found, like, I've been hiking up in Katoomba, and as you start climbing a hill, the air feels like it's getting thinner, and you're like,
that is a kind of a truth. But probably it's more the fact that you are just getting better. You have to go quite a bit higher before the air thinning really becomes a critical factor. When Kosciuszko's not high. Nowhere in Australia is really high. When you're not high, you're a couple of thousand metres plus above sea level.
Yeah.
Colorado, Denver, Colorado, is a mile high city. That's a mile high, that's 1,600 metres.
Shit.
Yeah, and up there, low altitude people do actually start feeling the difference in the air. But equally, I have been up around 3,000 metres plus.
Yeah.
I've been up to around 3,500 metres in Colombia. And I had no trouble at all. I did not notice any difference.
Yeah, because you fit.
I fit at the time, but nevertheless, but I didn't notice any actual difference. I was still able to move around quite freely.
Yeah.
I didn't try very hard. I was being a bit lazy at the time, but nevertheless. I was travelling. So again, but around that level is where altitude problems really do start cutting in. But the Blue Mountain altitude, they're not high. They're just hills. Yeah,
it's hills, but again, the air, I think, feels a bit different up there.
Oh, again, what you're getting is it's getting colder.
Yeah.
As you go up, it gets colder. That you can always tell.
Yeah.
But I very much doubt. So more than anything, it's coming into it's not really thinner. It's colder, and cold air feels different to breathe. I've been inclined to suspect that more the fact that it's cold and the fact that you have walked up the hill to get there. As you said, you're walking up the hill.
Yeah, that's probably why I was puffed out. I was on a hike.
Exactly, you're puffing out. You're puffing yourself out. Not to make the air is getting not to make the air is less air as your demand is increasing. Your body is needing more air, but so you've got to work hard to get the air in. But that's not because there's less air, because it is supply against demand. Price remaining basically the same, but demand's increase.
Now, like, you get like Mount Everest, right?
Yep.
Apparently, to climb that is not an easy thing. And once you hit a certain altitude, you got to descend or something to sleep for the night. Is that correct?
People sleep well up the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, the base camp, which is a big staging post, there's still a couple of days in the base camp to the summit.
Yeah.
So no, you can actually sleep at those higher altitudes.
Yeah.
As I said, I've slept comfortably at 3,500 metres.
Yeah.
That's no issue at all. But as you get higher, the effect of getting higher still is more pronounced.
Yeah.
So it tends out faster, partly.
Yeah.
But also the fact is the whole kind of work you're doing, the extremely very cold environment, it never gets warm at Everest. It's always at ground level. It's always effectively freezing.
Wow.
Because you're height and you're all that snow and ice around. So Everest is always a bit of a problem that way. These very high mountains, and Everest is only one of them, are always very hard.
Mm.
So, and one of the problems is that with so many people paying now to be towed up Everest, it's becoming a killer.
Mm.
It's become a bit of a nonsense, a bit of sadness.
Well, it's not an easy climb, Patrick.
Oh no! The thing is, however, a lot of people who are not climbers, are paying a lot of money to be guided up Everest.
Good.
I mean, they're kind of going for 2 a day at the peak season kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So it's become one of these things on a bucket list item for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's lost any meaning.
Well, Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world.
Yeah.
What's the second highest?
K3.
What's that?
Just west. In I think it's Western Himalayas.
Mm.
I think it's the north of Pakistan. I can't remember exactly where the Himalayas is.
Is it true if you're flying from Europe, you can see Everest outside? No?
No. There is something called the curvature of the Earth.
Mm.
The Earth is spherical. It's a long way around.
Mm.
No, you can't. I'm not sure. I can't remember when I flown away from Everest.
Yeah.
But among other things, as you fly away, because you're flying kind of, the other ranges in the way start getting in the way as well.
Yeah.
So I think he just becomes buried among the hills anyway.
Mm. Wow. So, you got the bottom of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
But we still don't know everything about the bottom of the ocean, but we know more about outer space.
We know probably less about the bottom of the ocean than we do about near space.
Why is that, Patrick?
It is, in some ways, easier to get into space.
Mm. True.
Oh, well, just tie a bloody great big explosive in behind and let it rock, bang, you're in space. That's what they do, isn't it?
Yeah.
But really, to that extent, what it means is it's quite... Whereas you go down to the bottom of the ocean, and it's a lot easier to keep the pressure differential.
Yeah.
I mean, we are at 1 atmosphere. If we're in outer space, the pressure differential between the inside and the outside of our ship is 1 atmosphere.
Yeah.
1,016 hectopascals.
Yeah.
Or millibars or whatever it is in inches of mercury, whatever. Yeah, but hectopascals is the current language. 1 atmosphere. It gets the equivalent of 10 metres of water.
Mm-hmm.
You go down 1,000 metres, you are already at 100 times the pressure differential.
Wow.
You go down 2,000 metres, and don't forget the bottom of the parts of the ocean that are deep, a hell of a lot deeper than that. So you've got to build a really, really strong vessel to travel in.
Well, submarine, are they
those submarines only go around. Most submarines would fail at 1,000 metres depth.
Yeah.
Because when you build a submarine, it's a trade-off between how thick you make the walls, which is how heavy the submarine is, which means how little you can fit into it, and its strength and its size. So that's a trade-off. So what that Cameron when he went down to the bottom of the very outer stretch, but he was in a single kind of a bottle-shaped thing, effectively, you remember it?
Yeah.
And it had walls, I think they were 10 centimetres thick, kind of thing. But because it was so small, those walls were strong enough to keep that pressure. Because all you have to do is get the tiniest failure in that wall, and you're dead.
Yeah, it's bad. I think there was an incident...
It's just, again, so the bottom of the ocean is actually harder to get to than outer space. Because you've got all that wall between you and the ocean. So you can't move as freely. But the other thing, if you're in space, all you need is a tight-fitting suit. So that's mean tight-fitting, a skin-tight suit, and something to pressurise your lungs, etc., and you're right. Oh, really?
Yeah. Look, I think there was an incident where a military submarine had some radioactive thing wrong with it. Is that true?
Oh, all sorts of possibilities like that. I'm not sure. The most recent story was the Indonesian submarine.
Yeah.
But that was a diesel engine machine. And as far as we know, it broke up. It got down below 1,000 metres and it just broke up.
God.
There were 3 pieces of it lying at the bottom of the ocean. But there's too much pressure. It just went splash.
Wow.
And broke up. This is what happens with pressure.
Yeah.
There have been incidents. There was a Russian incident. One of the Russian nukes didn't go down. And so if a nuclear submarine goes down, it's nasty. But then again, depends where it goes down. So I don't know of any recent serious case where we've had a nuclear incident as a result of a submarine failure.
There was a movie done of it years ago. I forget what it was.
Oh, there are movies done on lots of things.
Now,
and a lot of them are based on very loose things. What actually is what really going to happen.
Well, you see, you got the bottom of the ocean. There's like all these creatures we still haven't discovered yet.
Exactly, as I said, extremophiles, because to live at the bottom of the ocean, you have to be a pretty bloody unusual creature. Because things like the pressure, the weight, and you have to get energy one way or another.
Yeah.
And energy sources down there. There are quite a few deep, but not radically deep swimmers that actually live on, don't get any energy from the sun at all, which is the traditional way of getting energy for us. They have to get it from the volcanic processes going on down there. And actually live off volcanic energy. Now,
you remember Titanic?
Yes, I remember Titanic. Everybody remembers Titanic.
I'm not trying to be silly, but there's so many conspiracy theories out there about it, but did it really hit an iceberg?
Look, they've seen it. They've seen the damage where the iceberg hit it.
Yeah.
There's no evidence of an explosion.
Yep.
Because the only other way it could have been sunk would have been an explosion.
Yep. Or a submarine.
A submarine. Now, in the submarine, if submarine hit it with an explosive or torpedo, that torpedo would still have caused the vessel to explode outwards.
Yep.
Because it would have punched a hole in it. The hole wouldn't have been the same size. In fact, the single submarine torpedo of that time, considering there were very, very few submarines at that time anyway, wouldn't have sunk the Titanic.
Yeah.
Its design was such that it would have actually survived that. In fact, I won't say it was not a specification, but it would have survived a hole created by a torpedo.
Yeah.
Very certainly. Because the hole would have been in that kind of place where all of those watertight barriers and things that they thought they had that were going to keep it floatable would have worked. And the fact was with the Titanic that it didn't have a little hole made it. It had a big, long hole cut in it. That was what sunk the Titanic, not a single puncture hole. It wasn't punctured, it was ripped.
So how does a captain run into an iceberg? I don't understand that.
Icebergs don't have lights on them. Ships don't have headlights.
Don't they?
No.
Wow.
They didn't have radar.
Yeah.
So what have we got?
Human instincts.
Human instincts, good eyes. Now, the trouble is, if you have an iceberg at night, North Atlantic, cold weather, guess what you get? Fog. The there's fog around as well, don't forget.
Yeah.
So, and the iceberg wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
There wasn't supposed to be an iceberg that far south. Wrong time of the year. So, they didn't do their homework well enough.
Yeah. I mean, you get these cruise ships, or you get any, like, Navy ships sailing in these storms over, 10-metre waves, you know, and they're still...
10-metre waves, and the rest.
You reckon higher? 20?
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, there are waves, 20-metre waves are quite. Well, yeah, some of these smaller vessels are unimaginably bad in that kind of weather.
Yeah.
The bigger the vessel, the easier it is for that kind of weather not to hurt it. We just tear firm. You're a 20-metre wave, but I'm a 300-metre long vessel.
Yeah.
So what?
But still, it can do damage.
It can do damage. There's a lot of energy in them.
You know.
But they build these things pretty strong.
I've seen a few clips on YouTube. There was one, a boat actually sailing over the top of the tsunami, you know, the Japanese tsunami.
You know what?
What?
If that isn't a fake, I will eat my head. Seriously, because tsunamis don't happen in the open ocean.
Don't they? Where do they happen?
A tsunami happens when a tsunami, let's call them tidal waves, because exactly the same mechanism.
Yeah. What
happens is that you get a stuff or something to disturb water, disturb the ocean.
Yeah.
And a fast-moving wave carrying a lot of water is set off. But this wave might be only 15 centimetres high, 20 centimetres high.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be 100 metres wide. And it's moving fast.
Now,
what happens with the wave is, as it gets into shallower water, the front of the wave starts slowing down, and the back of the wave keeps carrying on.
Yep.
And it piles up, and it piles up, and it piles up, and it piles up, and that is what is done. That is why when the tsunami happens, the first thing that happens is the water goes out. Because as the wave goes along, the front of the wave is pulling the water from in front of it. But as it gets shallower, there's no more water to pull out, and it starts piling up.
Yeah.
And that's actually how tides work too. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you cannot detect the tides pushing. They're measured in centimetres.
Yeah.
Literally. The moon only lifts the water by a matter of centimetres. But it's moving at this big miles, 900 miles an hour. It is moving fast at the equator. So when it hits the shore, it piles up again, and the tide is this fast-moving, shallow wave, slowing down and piling up.
There was the Krakatoa tsunami that was triggered by...
There have been massive tsunamis from lots of things.
That was from a volcano.
Yeah, volcano. Most tsunamis occur as some kind of volcanic or other tectonic activity. An earthquake of some sort, or even a major underwater landslide. You need to move a lot of water quickly. You need some kind of massive push. And an earthquake where you get a shift in the bottom of the ocean goes down 10 centimetres in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Or something like this. You need a massive push. Or an earthquake or a volcano erupts. Particularly if it's partly submerged. And it pushes out the water. When that water starts moving, you give it enough shove. It's all about energy. Enough energy goes in, it starts moving a hell of a lot of water. Not necessarily in a high heap, but in a big heap. So it might even be 10 centimetres, 20, 30 centimetres high, but there's a lot of it because it's very deep, front to back.
Mm-hmm.
And it moves fast. So it's got a lot of energy.
And there was the 2004, it was the Boxing Day tsunami.
Yeah.
Remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I remember most of these tsunamis, yes.
Yeah.
There was the... so there are all sorts of tsunamis in various places around the world.
But see, San Francisco, if there was going to be an earthquake, it would always hit San Francisco, wouldn't it? Or a tsunami?
San Francisco is more likely to be have the earthquake hit it than be hit by a tsunami.
Yeah.
Because the fault lines are on the land in that area.
Yeah.
If you get a tsunami, you have to have the earthquake, a big earthquake, or something like that, under the water.
Yeah.
Or on the edge of the ocean. And it has to be a big event to start, a big high-energy event to start a lot of water moving, and then you've got a tsunami.
Well, it seems to me Hollywood's always portraying it like that.
Oh, yeah, well, see, San Francisco is going to be hit by another major earthquake.
Yeah. You should watch San Andreas with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to watch any of all of these fictional accounts.
Yeah.
Are at the best guesses about the science. But more importantly, they're romanticisations. I'm using that word technically. I don't mean that they are fictional creations about what people are going to do in reaction to it.
Mm. Mm.
So all of these disaster films about how people react.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how people are going to react until this thing actually happens.
Now, you remember there was a huge fire in Chicago.
Yes, Mrs. Murphy's cow, yes.
Was that a real event?
Oh, yeah, the Chicago fire. As I said, a cow kicked over a candle.
You serious? A cow?
Yeah, a cow. It started by a cow, yes.
Fucking hell. I saw a cow today outside of the paddock, just eating grass.
Okay. You're in strike. So a cow actually started that earthquake, yes.
Far out. How bad was that fire? When was it?
In the 20s, I think. Very bad. I really... I'm aware of its existence, but because it is, to be honest, North America, in a city that I'm not familiar with really otherwise, I couldn't actually quantify it. But it was big enough to be one of these major events. It was a local event. In other words, it only really knocked over San Francisco, knocked Chicago over. But, which then had a major effect on the American economy because Chicago, like a lot of other places, is an important part of the world. So let's say Chicago could be said to be is a problem in that sense. Chicago fire, and then you've had there have been half a dozen major fires around in history. Yeah,
Australia's always got them.
Yeah. We've had fires, in Australia that have been... We've had fortunately, very few fires in cities.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our spectacularly big fires have been in our bushland peripheries of our city, one that affected people the most.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief, the one a year and a half ago now, they were humongous, huge in area. And the damage and the loss was enormous.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that these fires were bigger and badder in terms of the size of the fires, the damage they did, things like damage to people, was a lot less than the fires or the 10 years ago in the Blue Mountains and in Victoria. Yeah, because we learned from all the horrible mistakes we made in those, but making sure people were taken out from the fires, they weren't allowed to stay in things like this. So we have to learn how to, if not live with those fires, at least how to minimise the human loss.
Well, it's funny, like the Northern Territory, you never hear about any bushfires in Northern Territory.
You get them.
Yeah.
But there have been major fires up in the Kakadu a few years back.
In the dry season?
Well, it wouldn't be in the wet season.
No, it's too muggy.
But don't forget that a lot of the Northern Territory is constantly wet.
Yeah.
It's rain. A lot of that is actual rainforest.
Mm.
And when rainforest dries out, that's when it burns something horrible. So a lot of the Northern Territory, but there have been major fires in the Northern Territory. But because there aren't many people up there,
yeah,
they just become the Northern Territory fire. It doesn't have that same direct impact on the rest of Australia.
What about over in Western Australia and South Australia?
Same thing. There are major fires. Every part of Australia has had major fires over the years.
Even Tasmania?
Oh, yes. Tasmania about 8 years ago now. Well, good heavens, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
6 or 8 years ago now. I can't remember exactly when. But anyway, driving through parts of Tasmania now is still recovering from what were massive bushfires through the southern Tasmania.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, where you have bush, particularly the kind of eucalyptus kind of bush we have, when you have an unseasonable dry spell, then you'll have bad fires.
Yeah.
I mean, last year's bushfires, nothing anybody could have done in any way, shape or form would have done anything to stop those fires.
Mm.
Is the best advice they had from their study of it. No amount of trying to burn off in advance or clear things or prepare things like that would have made any difference. The weather had been so hot and so dry, so long, that everything was going to burn anyway.
Yeah, look, I can remember all the smoke in the air, and the air felt crap. You know, over Campbelltown, it was just so smoky. It was like Shanghai, China.
Yeah, I was here just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Got down to Canberra, and 3 days later, it was twice as bad. New Year's Eve, twice as bad. Could not see more than about 100 metres.
Yeah.
Because of the smoke. That was smoke from coming up from the coast.
Were you wearing a mask, or you didn't? I didn't wear a mask.
No, not that stage. We didn't. My mask weren't there. I was in the car. Shut the windows, shut the doors.
Put a gas mask on.
You get carried away.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. No. Yeah.
So you get carried away with that type of thing. But
yeah.
But really it was absolute. I mean, as I said, when I got down to Canberra, the smoke in Canberra was bad, but not much worse than it had been in Campbelltown.
Mm.
And because the national capital, it got more news.
Yeah.
And then it actually got appreciably worse.
Well, I went to a bad fire in Bargo, right? Bargo. I went to a very bad fire in Bargo.
Yes. Yeah.
And man, Patrick, it was like it was just red in the sky. It was smoky.
You kind of every time you get the fire, you get anywhere near them. Of course, the thing is, there's something like the fire, unless you are going there to fight the fire, you don't go there.
Well, I went there to fight the fire, and my God, never seen... Spot fire just happened so quick. It was just like spitting everywhere.
Yes. Oh, no, once a big fire is... I mean, the energy involved in a big fire is on the same scale as H-bombs.
Yeah.
So really, it's putting out more energy than the thermonuclear bombs. And we are putting that kind of energy.
And it's hot too. It felt like it was like.
No, I do that word energy in its proper meaning.
Yeah.
It's pumping out a lot of energy, a lot of heat,
Yeah.
And it pumps itself. This is how they feed themselves.
Yeah.
Once it gets to a certain point, these fires become self-sustaining almost.
Yeah, they get out of control.
Yeah, well, the thing is because they create their own local climate.
Mm.
They create so much. They create windstorms from the convection effect, so that they're sucking things in. And although the wind is blowing towards the fire itself is spreading, and it's radiating such that he just keeps on pumping out.
Mm.
Oh no, it's a big fire is. I've seen them from the distance.
Yeah, it was like literally 50 degrees.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Yeah.
You know. But, yeah, it's, yeah, my God. It's funny, you get up, like, North Queensland, they get, like, cyclones, right?
Yeah.
But they don't get, like, the cyclones you get in the United States.
Again, you get different cyclones in different parts of the world. Because, a lot of it to do is with, again, where's the ocean that's pumping the cyclone? Because cyclones are pumped by ocean heat.
Yeah, yeah.
Which way do they move?
Yeah.
Because, again, of the shape of the ocean. How hot is the ocean? All of these factors. So cyclones are different in different parts of the world, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, by definition, we can't get a cyclone in Sydney because we're not tropical.
Mm. Well, the Northern Territory apparently get them.
Oh, yes. I mean, you get cyclones anywhere where you have tropical bodies of water.
Yeah.
I think if you have a body of water that's tropical, you'll get a cyclone.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Shit.
Because the cyclones, or a hurricane to use, or a typhoon, they're all the same thing.
Yeah.
Just called different things in different parts of the world.
Mm.
So you get a cyclone going away, and it's simply a lot of hot air rising. That's all a cyclone is.
Mm.
A lot of hot air rising, which means air gets pulled in, and because it is spherically shaped and spinning, the air that's closer to the equator is moving at the speed of the air south of the equator, and as it gets in closer and closer, it tries to keep moving at the same speed and starts spinning.
Mm.
The so-called Coriolis effect. It's really quite a wonderful effect.
Mm.
But all you need is a body of hot water. That's very simplistic.
Yeah.
But basically, that's what it is. It gets more complicated because you have all sorts of other factors creating wind, but that's essentially how wind is created.
Wow.
And again, like a lot of these things, they do then become self-pumping. They kind of pump themselves up again. Like they start forming, they keep pumping themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why cyclones tend to happen in the warmer weather.
Well, they like the tropical weather, don't they?
As I said, they're a tropical effect, but you need hot water.
Yeah.
That's it. You need part of the ocean getting significantly hotter than its surrounding part for some reason or another.
Mm.
Well, that's a very simple picture of it. That's essentially all you need to have happen to make some kind of cyclone or a tropical. See, whereas in Sydney, we don't get cyclones, but we get the thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And they're to do with the fact that we get the similar kind of things to cyclones, which are big circulation of air, but you get the massive ones forming up this current, an East Coast low form, which is essentially the same thing as a cyclone, only on a bigger area, and it starts pumping air up along the south coast. And because of the shape of the coast and the way that air is moving, you get a lot of speed, you get a lot of clouds, and if you get past moving clouds, they start charging up electricity and you start getting huge thunderstorms.
Yeah.
So we can get massive storms in Sydney. They're not cyclones, but they they can be as destructive.
Yeah, they are pretty bad.
Oh yes, I mean, one of the actresses I had many years ago had a 100-year catastrophe risk in Sydney rated on a similar scale to weather catastrophes as Brisbane.
Mm.
Because Brisbane had cyclones, Sydney had storms as such, pure storms.
Yeah.
Again, it's the shape of things like the shape of the country, the shape of the coast, where the big weather patterns that drive the sit, and you can get all of such a massive storm.
Wow. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
You know, scary stuff, Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was looking on YouTube, when they dropped I think it was the atom bomb, right?
Yeah, well, we've got to get atom bombs, but again, YouTube is not the best sort of fish to put in place.
Now, they actually had soldiers literally were in front of it, using them as guinea pigs.
This is the various testings.
Yeah.
There's no record of actually deliberately placing troops in a place where there was a significant risk.
Yeah.
But certainly there were troops around on the fringes of the risk area.
Mm.
But certainly I didn't put troops actively in the risk areas. They say they stand here and see whether they get knocked over, that happened.
Now, you've heard of radiation.
I have certainly heard of radiation.
And uranium.
And I certainly know about uranium and its isotopes.
Now, there's literally uranium in the desert in Australia.
Australia is a major exporter of uranium. There is left over from the nuclear test of Australia, there is a lot of plutonium left over.
Yeah.
Plutonium is the device, is what they were using. Because if you want to make a big bang bomb,
yeah,
there are two ways you can do it. You can use uranium or a particular isotope of uranium,
yeah,
which is very hard to make.
Yeah.
Because basically you've got to start with raw uranium and turn it into a gas, and then use what's called a gas centrifuge and separate it out by its weight. And you can separate out enough uranium-235, which is the isotope that's too light to be stable, and you get about 8 kilograms of that. It goes bang.
Mm.
And it's very easy to make a bomb using uranium. So much so that in World War II, when they made the two bombs, the Fat Man,
yeah,
was a plutonium bomb, and they had to test that. The Thin Boy was the other bomb. They didn't even test. They knew it would go off.
Now,
anyway, getting back to Maralinga, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What they were testing in Maralinga were the plutonium bombs.
Yeah.
Now, to make a plutonium bomb, plutonium is quite easy to make. Mm-hmm. You have a nuclear reactor of the right type, and you can pull plutonium out. That's chemically, and you pull it out using chemistry. Yeah. Which is a lot easier than using physics. But the trouble is, plutonium is a very soft metal. So to make a plutonium bomb, you have to work out a way of squishing a large squish ball of this soft metal close enough together that it goes off. And when a plutonium bomb detonates, not all of the plutonium goes off. In fact, most of it doesn't. So you get little bits of plutonium sprayed all over the place. Mm. And plutonium goes bang because it's radioactive. Yeah. It is decaying all the time. So all of this plutonium goes bang, and it's scattered all over the desert. So you've got this very fine, very spread out plutonium dust. Yeah. Really pumping out radiation. Now, that in itself isn't so bad because the amount of pumping out isn't also huge. The trouble is that it's a dust. Yeah. If you breathe the dust in, you've then got a dust pumping radiation out inside your lungs. and bingo, you've got cancer.
Well, that's what's happened to some of the troops.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that was that's what I'm saying. But that's because they happened to be downwind of where the bomb went off.
This stuff has caused birth defects in their kids.
Yeah. And birth defects are another one. It gets into your bloodstream and hits your gonads.
Yeah.
And what does it do to the gonads, the DNA of the gonads?
Yeah.
It says, change, bang, big, and you get mutations, yes. So, yes, I mean, plutonium is a nasty one.
Now,
because it becomes a dust.
When these...
And
when...
it's highly radioactive.
When
the uranium bomb, it's a very hard build.
Yeah.
So it tends to form shards of things which don't react the same way. There's bits of leftover uranium hanging around, but they're not as bad.
Well, when the pilots have dropped it, they've got to fly the plane so quick, otherwise they're going to get hit.
Oh, well, most of the bomb tests were done from towers rather than from planes.
Yeah.
They do actually drop a few of them, but the point is that you don't have to fly all that far, but you can fly at a high altitude.
Yeah.
You can fly, say, 10, 15,000 metres.
Yeah.
Most aircraft in those days can do that. You drop the bomb, you have a parachute on the bomb so it doesn't fall fast.
Yeah.
These bombs, most of them had a parachute, they weren't just dropped. They weren't dropped like a conventional bomb.
Yeah.
So the whole point of them is that you dropped them, and it didn't fall from 10, 15,000 metres down to 1,000 metres.
Yeah.
That's 20 seconds, that's 20, 30 seconds at least.
God.
Now you're flying at 360 kilometres an hour, that's 10 metres a second.
Mm-hmm.
You're 20, 30 kilometres away.
So you're well away from it and you're safe.
Away, yeah. And you don't go to fly, boom, boom, boom. You fly at your regular high speed, and the bomb drops down to it. They set the bomb off in the air. That's the other thing. Most of these A-bombs are set off in the air. Yeah. Rather than impacting the ground, because they're area bombs.
Now, you can actually see footage on YouTube where they've done them in the ocean as well.
Oh, look, I mean, all of these things are part of my generation, don't forget.
Yeah.
The thing is, these are all the things that I know about with all of my history.
Yeah.
There were subterranean tests. They tested them underground. A lot of testing was done underground.
Yeah.
Because that contains everything.
Yeah.
Quite a few were done underwater.
Yeah.
Which is rather nasty, really.
Yeah.
Because what happened is it polluted the water a lot. A few were done on places like the Bikini Islands.
Oh, God.
Now, that hole out in the middle of the Pacific, it used to be 2 islands, 3 islands, is now 4. Small but very important. That's why the Bikini is called the Bikini. Small but very important.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are set, or even in the middle of the desert. The Americans used to test them in Nevada. That's where the Manhattan Project tested their first A-bombs.
Was that Area 51?
No. Area 51 was something else again.
Yeah.
No, it was, God. Name of the place. Grief, the name just slipped my mind.
Area 52.
No, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Nevada. Yes, just north of Nevada, north of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Just out in the desert from Las Vegas. That's Las Vegas. Out the desert in Nevada.
Yeah.
And Area 51 was another. Area 51, it turns out, was the place where the skunk work planes flew.
What are they?
Now, the Oxcart and the more important, the Blackbird.
Yeah.
Which were these ultra secret, still supersonic, hypersonic planes. I mean, the fastest production aircraft, not rocket powered. They were the fastest effective aircraft that could actually fly any distance, considerable distance, was the Blackbird. It was made back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
It flew for about 30 years. And they were flying that out of Area 51.
Yeah.
That's why it was so secret. Nothing to do with any other thing going on there. The Area 51 was mainly because it was the base of probably the most secret reconnaissance aircraft in the world.
Well, it's amazing how these engineers are building such amazing technology back then and how they get the knowledge for it, you know?
Well, the knowledge is just built on, how things work. I mean, the technology of the Blackbird, by current standards, would be pretty primitive.
Yeah.
But it was essentially a great big engine with an aircraft shell built around it.
Yeah.
That didn't look like any other conventional aircraft because it had, among other things, it had to be radar, very low radar reflectivity.
Yeah.
So it had that very peculiar shape. With a cockpit and a couple of cameras. That was it. Wow. Its controls were very primitive by modern standards. Because they since then have made so many improvements in the way to control aircraft. But it did its job, and because they found no need to do anything similar, it was actually taken over by satellites.
Yeah.
And it just basically, just got up high in the sky and flew very, very, very fast. And it was very, very hard to see on radar. So by the time you knew it was there, it was gone.
Well, you know why they paint them black?
Well, to make them hard to see.
That's it.
Simple as that. But also, it is the colour, that's partly, that's mainly it. To stop any accidental light reflecting on, because you don't want but if you have something, if you're a light coloured, light will flash off you. And so they didn't need to be accidentally seen, yeah. But they also were painted with radar absorbing paint.
Now, is the military still flying the stealth bomber and the Blackbird?
No, the Blackbird is out of service now.
Yeah.
As I said, its job has been taken over by satellites.
Gotcha.
I mean, you get the same thing. You get the same effect now with satellites.
What about the U-2 spy plane? That's not going anymore,
The U-2 is being used for a weather plane.
Wow.
There was U-2 flew to Australia about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
With the U-tube,
U-tube.
The Blackbird would take off.
Yeah.
Would get up to altitude, and then before it would do anywhere else, it had to refuel.
Yeah.
Because it was built in such a way that it actually leaked fuel because it had to expand, so it had cracks in it to allow it to expand as it got hot. And until it got up to speed, it just dribbles through your fuel constantly. So it's a very, very inefficient plane to fly.
Yeah.
But once you got it at the speed and fuel, it was unbelievably effective in its job, which was zoom over, take photos and zoom back.
Wow.
The U-tube was its predecessor.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to replace the U-tube because the U-tube was going to fly so high that nobody could shoot it down.
Except for Gary Power.
Except that somebody could shoot it down.
The Russians.
It was too high to be shot down, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Now,
so the U-tube was designed to be very, very, very efficient.
Yeah.
It was, when you look at it, a giant glider.
It's a beautiful plane.
And it's a giant glider.
Yeah.
I actually rather like the look of the Blackbird too. It came actually, because in the terms of things, I always think it looks something like an E-type Jaguar.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of long sleeve little bubble for the cockpit in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the U-tube, the U-tube flew so beautifully. They were still using it for weather observations and things.
Yeah.
But you put a U-tube up in the sky, it could fly for hours and hours at a very, very great height, so it could look down on the weather.
Well, to be a U-2 pilot, the astronaut's wearing a spacesuit, is that right?
Well, yeah, they were wearing full pressurised suits.
How long does that last for as a U-2 pilot?
What?
The full pressurised suit, is that oxygen all the time in the cabin?
I do not know, but I would assume, my feeling is that the cabin of the U-tube would have been pressurised.
Yep.
To some extent. But the pilots were actually wearing full pressurised suits.
Now, what does pressurised mean?
Pressurised? air pressure in.
Yeah, because if you take off that helmet, your head will explode.
No, it won't explode. That's again one of these science fiction myths. But what will happen is that you won't be able to breathe because there's no air to breathe.
Yep.
And because the air pressure is so low, your blood will start boiling. That's where the explosion comes from.
Mm.
You'll have your eyeballs will start kind of doing very nasty things. So it won't explode, but you'll start things like this.
Yeah.
It's not nice. But you don't explode.
No.
Decompression, and even when they call it close to decompression, you won't explode.
Mm-hmm.
So pressurization simply means keeping air pressure in.
Yeah.
So that you have enough air to breathe and enough air for your body to work, for the liquids in your body to behave properly.
It's amazing how they built that, that U2 and their spacesuit with it, and how much preparation goes in just to fly that thing.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they were. All of these machines are marvels of engineering.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and occasionally, if not necessarily for the right reason, sadly. But something like the U-tube, it's really good that the U-tube can carry on having a practical use after its military use ended.
Wow.
That was a really wonderful thing about that. They were able to actually carry on using it, for good purposes.
Well, the way that when the U-2 spy plane takes off, this just takes off quick.
Oh, the U-2, it is simply, again, look at its wingspan, look at its wings.
Yeah.
It is designed to operate with almost no air under its wings.
Wow.
The higher you get, the less air there is. That's why it's built like a glider. So at ground level, it's almost a glider.
Mm. So
look how easy it is to get a glider into the air.
Mm.
So yeah, the U-2, its engines were designed to operate extremely efficiently when there's very little air. So the only trouble is that the engines don't work as well as they could at ground level, but the wings work magnificently. It just takes off, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Now I was looking up on, I like doing my YouTube, and there's these Navy ships that are built like stealth machines or something. They look like actual war ships, not like that aircraft carrier. Like, these things are designed to kill.
I'm not familiar with the current naval development, but certainly some of the modern stealth class. If you look at the modern stealth class vessels, with all those big flat surfaces on that, they look like a stealth fighter on the ocean.
Yeah.
They're stealth class destroyers. Yes.
Wow.
And they are designed to have the same thing. They're built like that to have the same radar non-reflectivity as the stealth fighters do.
Mm.
So they're designed to be able to sneak around. They're designed to sneak up on the other vessels without necessarily going underwater.
That's amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah. And so they do look, as I said, brutally ugly, yes.
Mm. Wow. You see, a lot of this stuff is kept away from the public too.
Yeah, well, it's very hard to... See, once you start using these things, it's very hard to keep hiding them.
True.
I mean, we have all seen images of the stealth class destroyers. We have seen images of the B-1, the B-2 bomber.
Yeah.
And we've all seen images of even the next generation of Australian fighters, whatever they call it, the strike fighter they're buying, which is a stealth fighter.
What about the Apache helicopter the Americans have?
Well, the Apache and the equivalent ones in Australia have the Black Hawks and things like that, and the Seahawks. Again, they're just machines built for one purpose, to carry ordnance.
Mm.
But the Black Hawk was designed to carry ordnance.
Mm.
It's just designed to carry guns.
Yeah.
So that's why it is that skinny profile. You know, it's a skinny, but as helicopters go, it's skinny. Whereas the big helicopters, like the Black Hawk series,
yeah,
they carry similar amounts of that weaponry.
Yeah.
But they look more like helicopters. So they don't look as vicious.
Well, I think I was saying there's this fighter jet that can land like a helicopter. From the Americans have.
No, there is the Osprey.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll rephrase that. There is there's the British. You've done it to me again. I can see the plane. There is the British, and the American Marines were using it. It'll come.
Yeah.
And then the Americans have built a thing called the Osprey, which is not a fighter, which is actually propeller driven.
Wow.
Which is a transport type of plane. But I can actually see the plane flying, because I can see it flying. Been around 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's British.
Yeah.
And it vectors the jets. So it's jet engines, instead of pumping out of the back, pump out or nozzles on the side of the plane.
Yeah.
So what they do is they want to take off vertically, they point the nozzles down towards the ground. That's actually a British plane, not American.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's actually developed a replacement for it as such.
Well, I've just done a quick search. It's an F-35 Joint Strike Fighter.
That's not a vertical takeoff.
Ah, okay.
The F-35 is the one Australia's buying.
Gotcha, but this one lands like a helicopter.
No, I don't think there's any production fighters that land like F-35. I don't believe so.
Yeah. Just have a look at it after the show if you got time. It looks good, you know.
Yeah, the F-35. The F-35. There's a lot of F-35 jet.
Mm.
Single stealth multi-role combat aircraft.
Yeah.
There is no I've got the there's a short takeoff vertical landing version, yes.
Yeah.
However, it's in use, but doing strike fighter, yeah.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of things about H-35.
Yeah.
Single engine, sensitive avionic. Filtered signatures, stealth, cockpit. Vertical takeoff, short landing, but that's interesting.
Mm.
Short takeoff. There should be a separate section on it. Australia's still getting developed.
Mm.
Yeah, there is a variant on it, but it's not. My feeling is that it's not a major impact.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a major variant on it. It will have a similar Yes, there's nothing in the actual description of it about how it works.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no the Harrier is what I was thinking about. The British one. It was a massive. Anyway, as I said, a short takeoff version has some use, but they're mainly relying on it as because its other functionalities, it's a variant. That's all. But they have been, as I said, the British had the Harrier for years, which was a true single line of aircraft, and probably the most successful at that time ever. Anyway, that's good fun.
Yeah, no, it's interesting stuff, you know. What history teaches us, Patrick.
Yep.
You know that. Yes. And other than that, how's St. Vincent de Paul's going for you?
Going well at the moment.
Yeah.
Going well.
You guys getting busy?
The shop's getting busy enough, yeah. We're going well in the shop, yeah.
And have you had your second COVID jab yet?
No. It's 12 weeks to the day since I had my first.
Yeah.
So it's about just under 3 weeks.
Yeah, I hope we don't have to get this COVID vaccine every year.
We don't know what's going to happen yet. Probably some kind of booster, at least one more round of boosters will probably be needed.
Yeah.
Because of the way it keeps changing.
Yeah.
And the point is, if the virus keeps on mutating, then probably we will need some kind of booster.
Yeah.
Year around to add that extra protection, that extra layer of protection.
Now, I've been hearing about this Indian strain or something doing something weird to the lungs.
Look, there are various strains. They're up to alpha, beta, gamma, delta, kappa.
Yeah.
And it's the delta and the kappa strain, which are the fourth and the fifth.
Yeah.
That are causing the issues.
Now, I've sometimes gotten updates on New South Wales Health on their Facebook. They say there's strains in sewerage systems.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of these things. My friend's ringing me at the moment.
Yeah.
That's what my beep is. I will decline the call and bring it back. She's hung up. No, she's just already hung up. No worries. So basically, they test the sewage for a lot of things, actually. And once they started coming around, they started testing the sewage because basically, a lot in the human waste, a lot of stuff that we've ingested. Nobody's necessarily ringing on their landline now. Anyway,
yeah.
So they're capable of testing for it. And they test the same way as they test everything else. And they do actually test the sewage for a lot of things.
Yeah.
During the flu season, they test for flu.
Yeah.
And I believe they test for other diseases if there's any kind of suspicion of that disease being around. It's a very good, quick, rough and ready way of working out whether it's around or not.
Now, do you think COVID-19 was made in a laboratory?
I think you've asked me this before.
Yeah.
And as I said at the time, look, there is the possibility that it was a variant on another virus that people playing around with viruses developed. There is that possibility.
Have you heard of a bioterrorist attack?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, this is coming up. This is coming up with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So as soon as I say that, I'm afraid that I discount it because he is not a reliable source of information.
Yeah.
He has his own axis to grind.
No.
His own messages to tell. However,
yeah,
there are several layers of possibility.
Yeah.
Coronaviruses are found in various mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Bats, rats, whatever. And they mutate. They change. And some critters are closer to humans than others in the way they react. And every so often, one of the changes says, oh, I can attack human beings as well as bats, or I can attack human beings as pigs. Oh, isn't that wonderful? And away they went. That's one possibility. And considering the history of most viruses around the world, that is probable. Because virtually every virus, in fact, as far as we know, every virus that's ever attacked us has done something similar. So it's kind of, it said, oh, by random mutation, found a way of attacking another mammalian species. That other mammalian species have to attack was human.
Well, it could quite...
That's the most common. Now,
yeah.
The second one is the infamous or famous Wuhan Virology Institute, where they study viruses. Now, when you study viruses, one of the things they do is play around with them and see the effect and changes on them. Generally to work out what could go wrong if they did something like that. So there is a possibility, considerably smaller possibility than the first one I mentioned, that somebody playing around with the virus, they created a virus like this, and that virus infected somebody, and that virus got out into the world. It requires two steps. It requires both that they were working on it and that have escaped.
Jesus.
The third possibility, which I discount absolutely, because it just doesn't make sense, is the possibility that it was in fact developed as a war virus, which is your bioattack. Now, the problem with a bioattack is that nobody develops a bioterrorism weapon and does anything about releasing it until they have an effective counter to protect themselves.
Yep.
The Chinese did not have at the time of the release of the coronavirus, novel-sized coronavirus 2, and the time it got into the world, they did not have anything like an effective defence against it. They didn't even have the beginnings of a defence against it. If they had the beginning of a defence against it, it's possible that no, they, like everybody else, had to start from scratch to get a vaccine. So the possibility of having been developed as a war vaccine, I discount absolutely.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
I'm doing a course on the Great Courses Plus about bioterrorist attacks, right?
Yeah.
It's quite possible.
There's been biological warfare that's been conducted since the Middle Ages.
Wow.
Without any good science behind them, but at the times of sieges, the people on the outside would, if there was anything like plague around, heave plague bodies into the cities. In the hope, that they'll infect the city, and it worked at times.
Well, there's quite a possibility that there could be a bioterrorist attack with smallpox.
There is the possibility of it happening, provided that somebody got hold of a smallpox virus.
Now, that's very bad.
But I said the trouble is, before you can have a bioterrorist attack with smallpox, you would first of all have to get hold of it. And there's very, very little smallpox available in the world at all. And it's all very, very, very heavily locked up.
Yep.
Seriously, there is smallpox. They have retained some samples of smallpox in case there is absolutely remote possibility that, despite all their best efforts, somebody in the world still had smallpox and it got out again.
What about plague? Because there's been some cases of plague.
Oh, well, plague was the one that I said that was, in fact, I talk about plague, but I talk about using plague as biological warfare.
Yeah.
The trouble is, again, there are very few known treatments for plague.
Yeah.
So as biological terrorism, yes, for biological warfare, no. The point is that if you're going to use a weapon for biological warfare, you need a good defence against it for yourself.
That's correct.
A terrorist, on the other hand, just reacts made murder. That's another story.
It's just, I like doing my studies, Patrick.
Yeah.
And the Great Courses Plus, I'm reading about infectious diseases, and these are it's from a professor.
Yeah, well, depends on Professor Ryan what his viewpoint is.
And it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And animals too. Apparently, there's been cases of coronavirus in dogs have spread it.
Well, yeah. This is I'm saying. Coronaviruses are a family of viruses.
Yeah.
They are in all mammals.
Wow.
Well, I mean, so the coronavirus is a virus. Now, those viruses tend to attack one particular species or the most genus of animals. Because they're adapted to fit that animal's biology.
Yep.
So they are designed to map onto that animal's DNA and hijack it. So dogs can get a coronavirus. But other animals can get coronavirus or other viruses. The swine flu epidemic was a virus, not a coronavirus, it was an influenza virus that pigs had that changed to humans.
Yeah.
We had the chicken flu at one stage.
Yes.
A virus that the chickens had that was a flu virus that chickens had migrated into people's viruses. We had the hantavirus, which went from bats to horses to people.
Wow. What about the rhinovirus?
A rhinovirus is simply the common cold.
Shit.
Rhinovirus simply means nose virus. Rhino simply means nose.
Yeah.
So a rhinovirus is any virus that affects the upper respiratory tract. And the most common upper respiratory tract infections are the common colds. And there are thousands of rhinoviruses because there is actually no such thing as the common cold.
Well, people used to die of the common cold.
Not as much. But the common cold is essentially treatable by simply keeping you alive.
But see, there's still no cure for the flu.
That's right. There are actually better treatments for the flu than there are for the coronavirus. But there are antivirals that work with the flu.
Now, part of the
there are things like the really bad flus. When we had the bad flu, things like the SARS.
Yeah.
Which is the SARS was actually a coronavirus.
Yes.
But when we had the birds, they were using things called Tamiflu and similar things which were antiviral. There are actually treatments for some of the flus, but they don't use them.
Now,
for most flus, because with most people, the flu is not going to kill you.
It can make you very sick.
Say again?
It can make you very sick, the flu. I've had it.
But the flu can make you very sick.
Yeah. And
if you get sick enough with the flu, you might find yourself actually being treated for it and just being palliated.
Now, what about...
Most diseases like this, you can be palliated. They keep you comfortable, they keep you living, they keep you ticking over, they keep your body strong enough for the body to be able to fight the flu off.
What about things like, shingles? Because you can get the shingles vaccine, right?
Well, I've had the shingles vaccine. The shingles is a herpes zoster or something.
Yeah.
It is related to chickenpox.
Yeah.
It's a very similar virus. In fact, I think it's essentially the same virus as the chickenpox virus.
Yeah.
Just has a different presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a virus. So you can get a vaccine for it, yes.
Now, chickenpox, apparently, if you get that as an adult, can be quite bad.
Most viral diseases, in fact, most diseases that children survive are much more likely to be quite nasty in adults.
Because you can get the chickenpox vaccine too.
Yes, or it'd be likely to have had it as a child.
Yes.
Measles in an adult is bad.
Yeah.
Mumps in an adult is bad.
Yeah.
They used to talk about, when I was growing up, they used to talk about what were called the usual childhood ailments.
Yes.
Which were measles, mumps and chickenpox.
Yeah. And
every child growing up was expected to get it.
Yeah. And
probably 1 in 20 or 30,000 got it. 1 in probably 2 or 3,000 got it very nasty and got very sick. And probably 1 in a few thousand died from it.
Mm. Now, with
that was taken as part of the growing up process.
With chickenpox, because I had them as a kid, but apparently most people only get it once. Is that true?
Being a pox-type virus,
yeah,
just like your body builds up the antibodies for it, and so if the chickenpox arrives again, your body says, "Oh, I know that, it's nasty,"
yeah,
and immediately starts attacking it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have as much chance of getting a toehold, of getting established in your body, which is really how most vaccines work.
Well, what about shingles? Like, most elderly people are getting shingles, apparently.
Most elderly people get shingles. Enough elderly people get shingles that by now, once you get to my age, you get shingles vaccine.
Yeah.
Because it is a very nasty disease of the same family, but it attacks the body differently.
Have you had shingles?
No, I've had the vaccine.
Oh, good.
Which, again, mightn't stop me getting it, but like most vaccines, says, I'm going to help you, get your body trigger off faster so the disease doesn't get as bad.
Yeah.
The body starts fighting back earlier while the disease is still setting in, so the disease doesn't get the same chance to get a real toehold.
See, I was listening to Dr. Phil on a podcast about coronavirus, and he was saying people who have got it build an antibody to it.
We don't know.
Gotcha.
Dr. Phil's doctor in medicine, don't forget.
He could be quoting from someone else.
And Dr. Phil is not a medical expert.
Yeah.
He's far from medical expert.
Yeah.
His major field, if anything, is in psychology.
Yeah.
So, again, the disease hasn't been around long enough for us to know whether or not having the disease will give you immunity. If it does give you immunity, how long the immunity will last for, and how effective it will be. And that is also the problem with the vaccines. We don't know whether these vaccines will continue to be effective in 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years. We don't know yet. We haven't had them long enough. And because the development was so fast, we didn't have a 3 or 4 year lead time on them. So we don't have that same history with them to know exactly how things are going to pan out in 3 or 4 years' time.
True. No,
this is where the real probability of us all queuing up for some kind of booster shot, probably the mRNA type, which is the Pfizer version, but possibly not. Over the years. So I've got a feeling that we will probably be getting another 3 or 4 at least COVID type shots. But they'll probably be the Pfizer ones, which at the moment appear to have less side effects.
How did you feel when you had the AstraZeneca?
I went home, went down, had this shot, sat around the corner for an hour, went home, had an ordinary day.
Good. No, I'm happy that you're safe because.
Yeah. So I mean, the risk of unpleasant side effects is moderately high. The risks of generally nasty side effects is low. The risk of seriously nasty side effects is very, very low. You know, I mean, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Yes, you're damn unlucky. To have seriously nasty side effects from the AstraZeneca.
Well, why would the government want to deal with the AstraZeneca if there was a risk of this thrombosis?
Oh, the risk of the risk, again, it's one of these classic trade-offs. AstraZeneca works. In the real world, it is as effective in controlling coronavirus as the other ones.
Yeah.
And it's not second best. Two, if you weigh up the risks, the risk of my dying unvaccinated from coronavirus is 10,000 times greater than of my dying from the side effect of a thrombosis.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. Because I am older. As you get older, the likelihood of thrombosis occurring decreases radically and rapidly.
Yeah.
Because it's to do with how the immune system works.
Well, that's why that's under 50s are not advised to have it.
There are countries in the world where the cut-off line was 30.
Yeah.
You know, they said the risk is so great from the virus that we'll give it all the way down to 30-year-olds.
So what are the kids going to get?
We don't know yet.
And babies? Yeah.
We don't know yet. They won't get AstraZeneca, definitely, because that's increased risk as you get younger. They'll get one of the mRNA ones. The mRNA ones. I don't know.
Most likely I'm going to get the Pfizer.
Well, considering your age, it's a 95+% probability.
Now that's
unless an emergency, an outbreak. Now, if we had a massive outbreak and they had to immunise everybody, then you'd get whatever they happen to have in the vial closest to hand.
Well, see, the Americans are given the Johnson & Johnson just a single shot, but that hasn't got the best immunity, apparently.
We don't know about that one yet. I haven't seen the numbers on that one yet.
But if you notice, that's why they go on to the Super Bowl. They just give them a shot, and then they can go back and watch all this in the crowds.
Well, as I said, I haven't seen the numbers on this yet. And there's a lot of wishful thinking going on there as well. And the Super Bowl was 5 months ago now, so hard to go to the Super Bowl. That was another story. So, I don't, as I said, there are many variant possibilities in this world for these vaccines. And the best answer is to have as many different ones as possible as work. And spread them out as widely as possible. It's a bit of a luck in it. And will ensure eventually the best survival of everybody.
That's it. No, but you do. You do get my point. It's not something I want to get every year, if it can be avoided.
Do you get the flu vaccination every year?
Yes, because there's still no exact cure for it.
Is there a cure for the novel? Is there a cure for coronavirus?
Not yet. No.
Is coronavirus likely to be still around?
Yes.
Is your current vaccination going to be working in the year's time?
No.
Are you going to get a booster vaccination?
Yes.
I think we've just answered the question, haven't we?
Yes. No, it's good. It's good to talk about this stuff, Patrick.
I know, but I said when you think about it that way, when we know through long-term, real-world conditions, effectiveness of these vaccines and long-term effectiveness, then we'll be in a position to start making judgments about things like boosters. This is the thing, you see, the testing of these was so fast that there was no long-term testing done at all. It could have been.
I want to point out something. In England in the 1800s, it was mandatory at one point to be vaccinated.
Sorry?
It was mandatory in England in the 1800s to be vaccinated at one stage.
Now, that's interesting because vaccination at that stage meant literally vaccinated, which meant being injected against smallpox.
Yeah.
So that was all vaccination meant. Up until they started developing other things. The word vaccination comes from the Latin word for cow.
Yeah.
Because what happened was that Jenner discovered that cowpox was related to smallpox, but not deadly.
Yeah, yeah.
So they actually gave people cowpox.
Yeah.
That killed the smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
I have no knowledge of that. I've not heard that, and it sounds to me very, very unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the kind of thing that I can visualise happening in England in the 19th century.
Yeah.
It is just contrary to my feeling of how 19th century England worked.
Yeah.
So there are things like public health campaigns like that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, really, they just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see it make sense.
Yep. Yep.
So I would check my sources on that very carefully.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll do that. I could have misinterpreted it, but
I think so. Yeah. To me, it just sounds a little improbable. Certainly in the 19th century in England.
Yeah. Now, how come governments can't make it mandatory to vaccinate people?
They can.
Can they?
Yeah.
Do you reckon they'll make this COVID vaccine mandatory in Australia?
No vaccine has been made mandatory yet. What you might find is that vaccination might become very close to mandatory for international travel. Because, as I said, historically, we used to have, if you wanted to travel anywhere, you had to have a smallpox vaccination. Literally, if you wanted to travel anywhere, if you wanted to travel to many countries in the world, you had to have cholera and typhoid.
Yeah, you're telling me about that in South America.
And the other one you had was you had to have the yellow fever.
Yeah.
And I think that yellow fever vaccination is still a mandatory for parts of the world, some parts of the world.
See, you get Ebola. There's no vaccination for Ebola.
Yeah, but Ebola they managed to contain. Because they worked out what it was, where it was coming from.
Bats.
Yeah, so bats are a very, very common cause of viruses attacking humans. Something to do with the way their bodies work. Some aspects of the metabolism are very similar to humans. So bat viruses seem to like humans for some reason. But so Ebola, they worked not only the vectors, but also where it was located. So they managed to put a fence around it. And then by removing the sick people, isolating them, and either curing them or not, they effectively suppressed the virus.
Because Ebola is very bad, Patrick.
Oh, it's very, very bad, but because it's very recognisable, and it's quick acting. That's one of them. It's essentially had a fence put around it. That's the only thing about it with Ebola. It's essentially been fenced off. And that, I think, makes it work better. Anyway, that's my understanding.
Yeah, no, it's I think
there are all sorts of as I said, plague is still around.
Yeah.
Pestis. In fact, we talk about the Spanish flu in Australia at the beginning of the 20th century. And after that, there was in fact a plague outbreak in Australia.
Plague in Australia?
Yeah. Shit. Pestis.
Oh.
Just they actually had to burn down. They actually burnt down a lot of houses as a result. Oh, yes.
See, in the plague, the Jews were getting persecuted because...
Yes. It's funny that came up in the lecture in class last week. But yes, I mean, the thing was, they were a target. They were an easy target.
But why were society blaming the Jews for it? I don't get that.
They were an easy target. The thing was, they were... If you don't know what's causing something wrong, you want to find a reason. Mm-hmm. And generally, it's easier to find some personal thing to blame rather than saying, oh, it's just happening. Now, the Jews were already disliked. They already were keeping themselves separate. There was always this isolated, separate community. So nobody understood them. They were all, therefore, they were a secret society as far as the rest of Europe was concerned. They were different. They were disliked because, among other things, as Evans Shakespeare from a couple hundred years later, they were people like many things like money lending.
Yes.
Because Christians weren't allowed to lend money and make profit out of money lending. So the Jews were money lenders, and nobody likes bankers. Nobody likes people who's charging you money, who's costing you things. So all of these things added up, and they look different. They were easy to recognise because they look different. So they simply became an easy target. They became an easy target, that was all. So it's one of these just scandalous the way people think.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yep.
You know, yeah, the Black Plague was my god.
The Black Death, which was around the 1300s, yes. Best estimate wiped out a quarter of the world, or the known world.
Anthrax too, like...
Anthrax is another one that's very nasty, very, very nasty, quite easy to transmit, but requires a mechanism to transmit it. It doesn't go wild.
But what about rabies? That's coming from dogs. If they bite you, you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, well, again, not in Australia. Rabies, again, it's one of these, I think it's bacterial, actually. In fact, I've actually had rabies vaccine in my life as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that there are parts of the world where there are lines drawn on the map, which is the rabies line.
Yeah.
Because rabies kind of moves with populations.
Yeah.
So it's not everywhere. And it's one of these diseases that affects dogs and affects humans. And it probably affects other primates, other primates, damn it all. Vertebrates as well, other mammals as well. It probably affects other mammals as well. In fact, it definitely affects other mammals as well. It's one of these ones that said, I'm going to attack a lot of different kinds of things. I'm going to have a really good chance of surviving. And because of the way rabies affects dogs in particular, when a dog is rabid, it loses its inhibitions. It goes mad. And it is therefore likely to bite other things. A very good way for the virus is to distribute itself, when you think about it. If I can persuade my host to distribute me by biting and infecting other things, what a great way to do it. Really very successful virus this way. So it is nasty. It is not, it is endemic. It is around, if you are on the wrong side of the rabies line, rabies is always there.
Exactly.
And so if you get bit by a dog, as you don't know, you automatically suspect the possibility of rabies, even if the dog isn't showing signs of rabies. If you get bit by a wild animal, and I think squirrels are one of them, it's the same thing. because it resides in all of these populations.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the animals don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So not every bite results in rabies, but enough of them have it, and rabies is nasty enough that you've got to suspect them every time.
Mm. Patrick, awesome show with you today.
Okay.
Always great to have you. I want to thank you for coming on.
Okay.